Welcome to GenX Journeys, the podcast that's all about rediscovering, reinventing, and thriving. I'm your host, Paul Stressner, and if you're part of Generation X, the show's for you. We dive into real stories of resilience, reinvention, and personal growth, all while celebrating the past and charging full speed into the future. Whether it's nostalgia-fueled throwbacks, inspiring conversations, or motivation to help you level up, GenX Journeys is here to remind you your best days are not behind you. They're happening right now, and you're just getting started. So let's get into it. Hey there, GenX family. Welcome to the very first episode of GenX Journeys. I'm Paul Stressner, and if you've been following me for a while, you know this has been a long time coming. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here on this journey with me. And today I just want to take you through the evolution of how we got here, because GenX Journeys isn't just a new podcast. It's actually a culmination of everything I've been working toward for years. And maybe my story will help you uncover something you've been meant to do all along. See, this all started back in 2010 when I created Return to the 80s. It started off as a blog, and I've always been a nostalgic guy, especially with music, movies, pop culture, you name it. So I started blogging about the decade that I grew up in, and over time it evolved into a podcast, which I started in 2016. But something else was happening alongside that. In my personal life, I had set a goal to run a 5K in every state, and that journey turned into Journey of the Rhode Runner. And I'm from Rhode Island, so I spelled road, R-H-O-D-E. And it started off as a blog that talked about my running adventures. And eventually I turned that into a podcast as well. But something wasn't clicking. I was passionate about both topics, both nostalgia and personal growth, but I couldn't figure out how to blend them in a way that felt so authentic. I didn't want to feel forced, and yeah, I would get burnt out with that. So I just kept separate podcasts going. And so then fast forward to last year, I ended up rebranding Journey of the Rhode Runner into Inspiring Journeys. And it was a podcast that focused on personal growth, resilience, and motivation. I didn't want to just talk about my own personal journey. I'm starting to have guests on Journey of the Rhode Runner, and they were inspiring me. So I just wanted to spread the love and inspire people from, all walks of life, and inspiration come from everywhere. So I just wanted to share that and share stories. And then at the same time, I just happened to decide to return to the 80s as well. And I ended up starting GenX Book Club because I love reading and writing. I actually got my master's degree recently in creative writing. And I know there's a lot of book clubs out there, but I hadn't really seen any for GenX, so I decided to start that, and we ended up recording a podcast that I do with all my friends, Del and Suzanne. So we do that every month, and that's still going strong, and I've had some incredible guests along the way, which leads to a turning point. Diane Franklin. Yes, she's a legendary actress from Better Off Dead, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Last American Virgin. And strangely, I've talked to a lot of people that didn't know who she was. Maybe they know her if you saw her, but she was big in my world, and she was one of those crushes I had. And I decided to reach out. I had heard that she had some books out, and I looked it up, and it looked awesome. So then I DM'd her, and she agreed to come on. So I was kind of like in shock, and she replied right away. So we had her on as a guest on the GenX Book Club, and then she said something that just clicked in my head. She made me realize that I have a unique voice, and one that can combine inspiring stories with the spirit of Generation X. And so that's how GenX Journeys was born, and that was very recently. We just had her on in January, so yeah. So once things click with me, I just jump right on them and move. So right now, I'll tell you what to expect from GenX Journeys. So what does this mean for you? A whole lot of awesome content. That's what. Let's see. We'll have this main podcast, which is now, and I'll try to post these every Wednesday, and we'll dive into real stories of resilience, reinvention, and personal growth. And you can expect interviews with amazing guests and deep dive into topics that matter to Gen Xers. And next week is going to be an awesome interview, so that one's already in the book, so I can't wait to post that. If you follow me on Facebook on my personal page, you can see that the live recording is up already, so I'm going to post the audio and I'll edit the video and put it on YouTube, so it's exciting. So really looking forward to that. So there'll be more of that. And then on Thursdays will be called Throwback Thursday, and that's a trip down memory lane. And right now I'm reposting classic Return of the 80s episodes, but once I'm caught up with that, I think it'll probably be about 40 of them I'll be posting around there. I'll see which ones are relevant still. And after that, it's all caught up, I'll be creating fresh new Gen X pop culture episodes. And I'm thinking maybe once a month for that because I don't want to overdo it. But if I could do more, I will. But I'm shooting for once a month for those on Thursdays. That's after the Return of the 80s ones are all moved over. And then on Fridays, I'm calling it Power Surge Friday. It's a short, high-energy burst of motivation to fuel your weekend and beyond. So I'll be reading an inspiring story that's happened in the world. And that one will be brought to you by 22 Too Many and people that have been following me on Inspiring Journeys. I dedicate each episode to a military veteran from 22 Too Many, and the 22 stands for 22 veterans die by suicide each day. And there's a great organization called 22 Too Many, and on their website they have a list of all the heroes. So I'll randomly pick some, and I'll pick a veteran each week. So I'll read their story, and then we'll get into another inspiring story, and that'll be Power Surge Fridays. And also, I'm gonna keep going with the GenX Book Club. We do that once a month. Normally, we record on the last Sunday of each month, but this time for February's, we're covering Skeleton Crew by Stephen King, and we'll be recording that on March 2nd because of scheduling conflict. So, and if you want to join us for that, feel free. The Skeleton Crew is a book of short stories by Stephen King, and the whole book is like 640 pages. So we'll definitely be covering The Mist and then The Monkey as well, because there's actually a movie coming out this coming weekend on February 21st, The Monkey. So I'll probably go to the theater and check that out as well. So we'll be covering those two stories for sure, and then we'll see what else we can cover. So if you want to join us for that. And then that's not all. We also have the GenX Journeys Newsletter, and I usually post those on Sundays, and I share extra insights, stories, and exclusive content. And you can subscribe to that. It's on Substack. I'll leave a post in the show notes, and I'll try to leave links wherever I can for that. So, and then I'm also considering launching a private Facebook group where we could connect on a deeper level. So look forward to that. And for this episode, I just want to also talk about rediscovering a passion. It's a big topic for us here. And I just want to leave you with a little lesson, because GenX Journeys isn't just about me, it's about you and your journey too. So looking back, I could see that my true passions had always been there, just waiting to be rediscovered. I guess I could say that I planted some seeds. For instance, as a kid, I loved writing. I wrote my first short story when I was 10 years old, and I wrote for a little while. I would include my friends in my stories and everything, but then I let that fade away. And then in high school, I ran cross country and actually became the team captain my senior year. And then I drifted away from that as well after I graduated. And then during my time in the Navy, I got kind of deep into personal development. I had joined this organization called Amway. That's a multi-level marketing thing. And I was really shy when I was younger, so that wasn't selling wasn't really my strong suit. But it opened my eyes to the personal development world. I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Magic of Thinking Big, and I also listened to a lot of tapes, especially people with Family. They gave motivational speeches and taught lessons, and there was even tapes by Zig Ziglar, who's very well known in the personal development arena. So I got involved with that. But then once I got out of the Navy and moved back home, I fell away from that as well. And then after the Navy, I went to college, and while I was studying computers, I just loved writing more. I actually took a Mark Twain honors course, and there was when I got to Bryant, I also took a humanities course. Actually, it was 2 courses. It was a full year, and that included it was literature, history, and the arts, and I just loved it. A lot of people hated it, but that was right up my alley. And then I was kind of like bored with the computer stuff, and then I became a computer programmer for almost 30 years now. I've been doing this, so I was burnt out. I am burnt out. But in 2010, I started blogging, and what happened was I saw this movie, Julie and Julia, with Amy Adams and Meryl Streep, and I kind of heard a little bit about blogging, but I just thought it was just recipes and stuff. And although Julie Powell's blog was about, cooking Julia Child's recipes, every recipe from her big cookbook there. Julie wrote stories to go along with it, and then that just got my mind thinking, I can do a blog. It doesn't have to be about cooking. I said, I'll do something like that. I'll just write what I know, and I love the 80s, so then I ended up starting Return to the 80s, and then little by little, all these little seeds that I had planted all through my life were starting to come to fruition. The writing, the running, the personal growth, it all came back. And now GenX Journeys, they've all come together as something that feels like it's my true purpose. So I just want to ask you, what's something that you've loved but let slip away? And what's a passion that's been waiting for you to rediscover it? Because I promise you, it's still there. And maybe it's time for you to bring it back. So if you're loving this, or at least liking it, and it shows some promise, as this is my first episode of this, and I don't usually do solo episodes, but if you want to be part of this community, you can find me at genxjourneys.net as the website, and I also have a YouTube channel, GenX Journeys, because I'll be posting, this one will be audio only, because there's another long story. I recorded this on video last night, but then there was no sound at all. So, and I want to get this out here, so I decided to do audio today. But normally these will be up on YouTube, and I'm actually converting my Inspiring Journeys podcasts on video. I'll be posting those up on YouTube as well. Some select ones, again, ones that are still relevant, that are outdated. And let's see. And you can also find me on all the socials. I'm on GenX Journeys. I was able to keep it consistent through all of them. So it's on Instagram, Facebook, as I said, YouTube. I'm even getting super active on TikTok because I found a GenX community there, and it's a lot of fun. And I just want to do something positive and try to keep away from all the political garbage that's out there. So I just want to put some light in the world and try to get something positive going. So I'm just loving all that. And then my email is paul@genxjourneys.net. And you can let me know if there's any topics you'd like me to cover. And for the GenX Book Club, I'm always open for ideas for books. We usually do a fiction 1 month, which is coming up this month is a Skeleton Crew. And then the following month is usually a memoir or nonfiction. So we usually alternate. So we'll see. Keep that going. And Yeah, and if there's any guests that you would like me to try to get, I've already sent I sent an invite out to one of my biggest crushes of the 80s, Debbie Gibson. And then the following week, it was announced that she was releasing a memoir in September. So then I just sent another email out to her team there asking about GenX Journeys. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, so I think that's about it. So just remember this: your best days are not behind you. The same fire that burns inside you as a kid and as a teenager, as a 20-something, it's still there. And the only thing standing between you and your next great chapter of your life is you taking action today. So get after it, chase the dream, embrace the challenge. Your journey isn't over yet, it's just getting started. Now embrace the past, own the present, and build an epic future. We'll see you next time. And remember,
be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes!
sit, Lizzie, sit. Good dog.
Woo, woo.